Hey everyone, welcome back to Friday Night Magic with Kurisumon. This week we are on MTG Arena playing in an M19 Draft. It's been a while since this has been on Arena, so let's dive right back in and see what we can come up with. First off, I know that when doing this format I like to be in the black-white, Vampire Life Gain kind of decks. If they're available, those have proven to be the strongest over the course of this format, even though we haven't seen it in a couple of months. But let's see what our picks do and how we go from there. So pack one doesn't look a whole lot of doesn't look it's going to be too exciting as far as black-white goes. There's a Knight's Pledge and a Fell Spectre, but those aren't really cards that we want early on. There is a Thorn Lieutenant, which is a perfectly fine card to take. Pick one. There's also a Druid of the Cowl and a Rabid Bite. Those are all perfectly fine first pickable cards, as well as this Electrify. Other cards of note, there is a Draconic Disciple. It's a good color fixing card, but not something you want to take and pick one, as it's double colored with green and red, and you don't want to be stuck with that kind of commitment this early on. So I think I'm either going to take this Druid of the Cowl or this Thorn Lieutenant. Both will keep me open. I also am considering this Electrify, as it's a really decent, it's a good removal spell, and it keeps us open, our options open for later on. But right now this pack is very heavily green, which actually probably means I should take the Electrify, because there's not a whole lot of red going on, and we can just pass the green and see what else comes our way. I'm going to take the Electrify, actually. Alright, so here we could have the makings of a pretty decent red deck. Spark-Tongued Dragon is a decent pickup, as it's a 3/3 flyer for 5 mana, and limited, that's fine. There's also the kicker cost, pseudo kicker cost that comes in, and it'll lightning bolt something when it comes into play. There's Gutter Snipe, which goes pretty well with our Electrify. We can end up being some sort of blue-red spells deck. There's also an Oresco Swiftclaw here. We could end up being red-white aggro of some kind. And then these two bears, pseudo bears here from black, which I don't really want to take. There's better things in this pack. So I think the picks here are either the Swiftclaw, the Gutter Snipe, or the Spark-Tongued Dragon. I'm going to go with this Gutter Snipe and see if we can maybe do some sort of blue-red or black-red spells deck. Alright, so we can pick up a second Gutter Snipe, and then any one of these spells here. There's also a Boggart Brute, which is a decent 3-drop in this format, as well as this Hostile Minotaur, which is a perfectly fine 4-drop. So I think I'm actually just going to take the other Gutter Snipe here, although Divination is calling to me a little bit. And this Disperse isn't bad either, but I think I'm going to take the Gutter Snipe and see if maybe we'll just go all in here. Frilled Sea Serpent is a really good pickup, but those usually come around a little later. Totally Lost is decent, but I think the pick here is going to be this Act of Treason. Alright, so Tormenting Voice is exactly the kind of thing that we're looking for. Scholar of the Stars, I don't know how many artifacts we'll end up with. There's this Explosive Apparatus, which we could take, a Wall of Mist for defense, which is actually pretty important. So I think it's actually just between this Tormenting Voice and this Wall of Mist. And I'm just going to stay on theme with the Tormenting Voice. Alright, so now we can take this Salvager of Secrets, which is going to be really good in our deck, the kind of deck we're trying to build. There's also a Star-Crowned Stag. We haven't picked a second color yet, and white seems to be open fairly well here, and Star-Crowned Stag is a very good card. But I think I just want to... It doesn't really fit with what we've already kind of done already, whereas the Salvager of Secrets and the Disperse do. And I think I'm just going to go with the other creature. Start building our base that way. Sure Strike isn't really a card that we're looking for too much here. We may end up splashing a third color here, so taking a Stone Quarry isn't bad either. Smelt, not really something we're going to be looking for either. We could hedge and take the Scholar of the Stars, and maybe it'll trigger, or maybe it's just a 3/2 for 4 sometimes. So I think it's just between either the Stone Quarry or the Scholar of the Stars. I don't know what we would pick up that we would want to splash white for. And Scholar of Stars doesn't really, but Scholar of Stars doesn't really do much. So I am just going to take the Stone Quarry as kind of a hedge. Alright, so here we can take a Fire Elemental, which is a decent body. We can take this Uncomfortable Chill, which goes with what we're doing so far. There's also a Mighty Leap, which we can splash off of our Stone Quarry, but I'm not really in the market for those kind of effects yet. And then there's a Daggerback Basilisk and a Wall of Vines, neither of which are on color here. So I think the pick is between either this Uncomfortable Chill or this Fire Elemental. Things like Fire Elementals actually come around pretty late, so let's take this Uncomfortable Chill. Alright, so this is our opening pack, I believe. Looks like all the green cards are gone, so we're going to see probably pretty good red and blue coming back our way in the pack 2, because even though it's computer, we're taking the green cards out of the pack. So let's take either this, we can take this Field Creeper, which is a decent early creature, and it feeds our Salvager, or excuse me, we didn't actually pick up the Scholar of the Stars. But if we did pick up a Scholar of the Stars later, it would actually go pretty well with it. There's also Bone to Ash, which is pretty decent, a decent counterspell in this format as well. But I think I just need, right now we only have 3 creatures, so I think I just have to take the Field Creeper. Alright, so in this pack we're definitely taking the Wall of Mist for that early defense. And here I'm going to take we can either take the Cancel or the Totally Lost. I want to keep my converted mana cost curve down, and Totally Lost is pretty expensive, and we already have a couple of 4 and a 5-drop already. So let's take this Cancel and kind of stay in that 3 range. But I am going to take this Frilled Sea Serpent. He's just too good not to. Revitalize, I will just take, but go ahead and stick it in the sideboard there. Root Snare, the same thing. And we'll take another Root Snare, apparently. Alright. So, second pack. A couple of interesting things here. Hungering Hydra is really good. It can be pretty aggressive and come out pretty much any turn you want to after turn, starting with turn 2, just depending on what you actually need at the time. Gift of Paradise is pretty good, but these are both green cards and things we're not interested in. Same thing with the Talons of Wildwood and Daggerback Basilisk. All 4 of the green cards in this pack are pretty good, but not something we want to take. There's a Catalyst Elemental, which is a 2/2 body for 3. We can sack it to turbo into something else. This Suspicious Bookcase is pretty good at defending. There's another Spark Tongue Dragon, which we didn't take the first time around. But for us, I think being the blue-red spells deck, the best card in this pack for us is obviously this Enigma Drake. It's going to get pretty big pretty fast, and we also need win conditions. So let's take the Enigma Drake. Alright, so in this pack, there is another green card, giant green card. So maybe we could have been green. In fact, there's 2 pretty great green cards here, although this is a green-blue card, Skyrider Patrol. We have a Mirror Image, which can copy whatever our best creature is. There's a Snapping Drake, which is a pretty decent flyer for the cost. Havoc Devils is a really good 4-drop. And then there's a Sure Strike. So I don't think we're in the market for a Sure Strike. We're not going to be that kind of attacking deck. We're just going to control the game and win with big creatures in the end. So either evasive creatures like Snapping Drake or Havoc Devil, Trample getting over the top, Flying just getting above the ground there, or Mirror Image, which is just going to get our best creature, or copy our best creature, which could be a Frilled Sea Serpent or a 3rd Gutter Snipe, or even in a pinch it can be another huge blocker like Wall of Mist. There's also a Sky Scanner, which isn't a bad card to take. We can cast it no matter what 3 lands we have in play, and it also filters through our deck some more and just chump blocks. But I don't want to take a Sky Scanner yet when we have a Havoc Devil, a Snapping Drake, and a Mirror Image. And I'm not really sure I want the Mirror Image yet because I don't know what our final creature count's going to be. So I think it's between either the Snapping Drake and the Havoc Devil. And giving those 2 choices, I think Flying is going to be a better market for us to be in than Trample. Even though this is +1/+1 bigger than this and has trample, I like having the ability to either race in the air or even block flyers if we need to. So let's take the Snapping Drake. Alright, so here's an interesting pack. There's not a whole lot going on for us. There's a pretty vanilla Tolarian Scholar here. Does really nothing. So it would just be a body. A splashable two-headed zombie, which isn't bad in this format. We could take a Marauder's Axe, but again, we're not really in the market to be attacking all out all the time. Same thing for Sure Strike. Same reasons we wouldn't want it as we wouldn't want the Marauder's Axe. Knight of Tusk isn't very good. Naturalized. Gallant Cavalry is actually pretty good. It's one of my favorite cards in this particular draft format, but we're not in white, so that's not really something we're going to be looking after. And then we don't really want to destroy lands either. The secondary ability on here, creatures without flying can't block this turn, could be relevant if we're trying to push through for those last few extra points, which actually may be pretty decent in our deck considering we're not going to be playing with many creatures anyway, so we got to push through at some point. And then there's Psychic Coercion and Uncomfortable Chill. Uncomfortable Chill is another card that feeds into our Gutter Snipes, and Psychic Corrosion just starts milling them whenever we draw a card. So far, the only ways we have to draw cards would be Tormenting Voice, Uncomfortable Chill, and I believe that is it. So, and of course, you know, the card on our turn. So I don't really want an Amulet either, as I don't think that's ever going to be relevant. And if it is, so be it. But I don't think that's something that we really want to be in the market for, especially since this isn't a sideboarded tournament. This is just best of one matches. So I think it's between the Psychic Coercion and the Uncomfortable Chill, and I'm just going to take the Uncomfortable Chill. Alright, so here we have some pretty good picks. Obviously, we're going to stay away from these green cards here, although both are pretty decent, as is this Talons. Gearsmith is okay if we had blue creatures. We're not going to have that many creatures in our deck, so I don't know how good a Gearsmith will be to pick up this early. We could take an Omen Speaker or an Aven Wind Mage. They're both really good creatures that can... this one can block pretty early, and the Aven Wind Mage is a decent win condition in our deck. And then there's a Disperse. I think I'm going to take this Aven Wind Mage, because again, we still need ways to win the game. Alright, Horizon Scholar, and then a Hostile Minotaur or a Divination. Those seem to be our picks for this pack. It's just always tough to not take the big giant flyer, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, so here we could play, grab a Sai. We have no artifacts except for the Field Creeper, so he's not going to trigger that much, and so we're not going to be able to even draw cards off of him, so I think he's kind of wasted in our deck. And then our other choices would be this Explosive Apparatus or a Catalyst Elemental, neither of which are too exciting right now, and then a Divination or an Uncomfortable Chill. We already have two Uncomfortable Chills, so let's take the Divination. Alright, so here I think I'm going to take this Hostile Minotaur. Both the Hostile Minotaur and the Scholar of Stars are 4-drops. We don't have any artifacts to appropriately trigger this Scholar, and this is just one toughness bigger for the same cost and has haste. So in our deck, I think this is just better. We can take a Fire Elemental or another Salvager. I think another Salvager fits better in our deck. There's also this Wall of Mist. We have enough early interaction, I think, now to stave off the aggression. This is a better win condition, but we already have Horizon, Frilled Sea Serpent, Hostile Minotaur, and Snapping Drake, and Enigma Drake has pretty good win conditions, as well as this Aven Wind Mage. So let's just keep churning through our deck and getting consistency and playing through it that way. So let's take the Salvager. Lots of Uncomfortable Chills in Pack 2. I'm going to take the creature this time. I don't want 3 Uncomfortable Chills. I don't know if I'll play this Catalyst Elemental, but at this point I'll take just about any playable red or blue creature that comes our way. And now we will take a Sure Strike, as it's the best card in the pack and kind of fits on theme, even though I don't think we'll ever play it. We'll take another Sure Strike, and we'll definitely take the Disperse. I guess we'll take a Tolarian Scholar, and we will take a third Uncomfortable Chill. Alright, so pack 3. A lot of really good playables for us in this pack. You have Banefire, which is probably what we'll take. You have Switcheroo, which can be a really good pseudo removal spell. It does exchange instead of getting rid of it completely, but you just pick their best creature and your worst creature and go from there. Another Aven Windmage, definitely not taking another Uncomfortable Chill. Here's a Tormenting Voice and a Lava Axe, all of which are perfectly fine. I think the choices, though, are between either this Aven Windmage, the Banefire, or the Switcheroo, and out of these three, the most powerful is definitely the Banefire, as it can just finish a game all on its own. So let's take that. Alright, so we can have another Act of Treason, a Hostile Minotaur, here's a Snapping Drake, a Frilled Sea Serpent, a Tormenting Voice, or a Bone Dash. But again, by far the best card in this pack for our particular deck is going to be this Enigma Drake. So, while counterspells in Limited can be somewhat detrimental, depending on how your deck is built, Essence Scatter is one of the few that's almost always good to play if you're in blue, especially if you're going to be a controlling blue deck like we are. So let's take that. Alright, so not a whole lot going on in this pack. We could take another Frilled Sea Serpent. I don't really want another Frilled Sea Serpent. So I think I'm just going to take this Palaka Worm and just to have it in my collection. Alright, Double Cast could be really strong in our deck. I don't want to take this Marauder's Axe, and I don't want to take another Frilled Sea Serpent. Totally Lost is perfectly fine, but I'd rather cast any of the other spells that we have already taken for a second time than to cast a Totally Lost. So let's take a Double Cast. Alright, so we can take either this Divination or another Horizon Scholar. Unlike the Frilled Sea Serpent, Giant Flyers that scry are always pretty good, so let's take that. And now we can take... Trumpet Blast would be decent if we were a little more aggressive, but we're not. We already have 2 Salvager Secrets, so let's take this Snapping Drake. So now we will take a Frilled Sea Serpent because it's the only thing left in the pack. We'll take a Lava Axe over an Uncomfortable Chill. We'll take a Bone to Ash. I'll take another Field Creeper here. I will sideboard a Scholar. There's another Frilled Sea Serpent. We'll take this Crash Through, which actually might be playable as that last little bit of damage. And then a Sovereign Spite. Alright, so let's start building. With this particular deck, well, with all my draft decks, I like to start with the creatures first and see where my curve is from there, and then fill in spells later. That particular deck might be a little different since we're spell heavy instead of creature heavy, but let's still start there. I think I definitely want to play this Wall of Mist. So 1-drops, I don't think I had any 1-drops. 1-drop creatures, and I did not. 2-drops, so we definitely want to play that Wall of Mist. No 2-drop red creatures. I'm going to play at least 1 Field Creeper. And then 3-drop creatures. I don't think I want to play either of these Scholars here, but I definitely want to play this Wind Mage. And I definitely want to play both Gutter Snipes. And I definitely want to play both Enigma Drakes. Alright, 4-drop creatures. I definitely want to play both Snapping Drakes. And I think I do want to play this Hostile Minotaur. And that's it for 4-drops. 5-drop creatures, I want to play both Salvagers. Now for the 6-drops. I definitely want to play both Horizon Scholars. And that puts us to 14. So if I played one Frilled Sea Serpent, I think that'll be fine. That leaves us space for 8 spells. Those 8 spells are going to be Essence Scatter, Disperse, Divination, Act of Treason, Banefire, Tormenting Voice, Electrify, and I think either... Let's see, it's tough. So we could play this Double Cast or the Uncomfortable Chill. So what would be good to copy with Double Cast on our turn? So the Essence Scatter isn't very good. We could Double Cast on Divination, Act of Treason, Electrify, Tormenting Voice. Does it... I guess it copies Banefire, but is X 0 off of Double Cast? I'm not actually sure. So I think there are enough targets, though, that Double Cast is fine. Double Cast on its own isn't very good, but I think that's okay. Whereas Uncomfortable Chill could still be relevant on its own. Let's go with Double Cast. Let's have some fun. Alright, so then let's go to lands. Have it suggest some lands, so it's saying 10 islands and 7 mountains. I'm going to go down 1 on the islands and up 1 on the mountains. Just kind of almost play it straight up 50-50, and I think that's going to be our deck. So let's give this a try and see how we do. Alright, so we are on the draw. We have 3 lands. We have Disperse and Essence Scatter and Gutter Snipe, and then later on Horizon Scholar. I think this is a decent hand to keep, probably maybe not the best for our particular deck, since the spells we have are more reactive than we would like with this Gutter Snipe draw, but that's okay. I think this is, I don't think a 6-card hand would be much better than this, if at all, so let's keep it. Alright, so there's a Wall of Mist. Start off with an island and pass the turn. Alright, so normally I would want to play a Wall of Mist, but since our opponent hasn't played anything on the first 2 turns, I want to probably Essence Scatter their first play on turn 3. So I'm going to hold off on the wall for 1 turn and see what we can hit with this Essence Scatter. So we'll play out a mountain and then pass the turn. So they still haven't played anything. I think the longer this game goes in this particular direction, the better it favors us. So let's keep passing the turn. I could play the Gutter Snipe. That leaves us open to some random 4-drop. So we could play Gutter Snipe, and then even if they drop something big, we can disperse it and still have mana next turn left over to Essence Scatter it if it was a creature, or to Essence Scatter whatever their 5-drop may be. Yeah, let's do that. And if they kill the Gutter Snipe, that's probably okay too. Yeah, I don't know why it took so long to make that decision. Our opponent is playing a very slow game that they probably don't need to. So I'm going to cast this Wall of Mist. And we still have Essence Scatter and Disperse backed up, so we'll pass back to them. so nothing from our opponent yet. We'll just play out this other 2-drop, and again hold back Disperse and Essence Scatter. But now we actually have something that can start attacking. Alright, so Higher Blade, that is their first spell of the game. Other than first creature of the game. I'm just going to go ahead and Essence Scatter that, since they seem to be stuck on 3 lands. Now I'm going to attack with the Field Creeper. We could either play the Enigma Drake or the Snapping Drake. The Snapping Drake is bigger, so we'll play that. Alright, so there is a Walking Corpse. Alright, so another Horizon Scholar. Not really what you want to see when you're stuck on 4 lands, but that's okay. We will attack with just the Snapping Drake here. Then we'll play this Enigma Drake. Gutter Snipe of their own. Alright, so there's an Electrify. We could use it to kill the Gutter Snipe. Gutter Snipe only hits opponents, so we don't have to worry about it mowing down our creatures. If we did want to kill the Gutter Snipe with Electrify, we should do it pre-combat so it grows the Enigma Drake. I think I'm going to hold off, though, just in case they play something bigger. Right now, 4 in the air is fine. And we'll pass the turn. So there's a 4th land. Let's see what that gets them. A Lightning Strike. I am going to use my Disperse on the Snapping Drake here. We'll take 2 in the process. Alright, so there's another Enigma Drake. We'll go to combat. We'll attack with our Enigma Drake we already have. And then we'll replay Snapping Drake. Alright, so now they kill the Drake, which is fine. Let's attack with this Enigma Drake. And play out another one here. Alright, Havoc Devils. They have Trample. That is a good target for our Electrify. Okay, so they 2 for 1 themselves. That is fine, I guess. Let's see here. Let's attack with this Enigma Drake. And then end the turn. So we'll kill something with the Electrify this turn. Sure. Volcanic Dragon's a perfect target for the Electrify. Let's see. I believe if we cast Act of Treason on the Gutter Snipe, and then attack with everything, that'll be it. They can block the Field Creeper, but they still take 6. And that'll be game. Alright, so we are on the draw again. This hand is definitely not keepable. Anything, if these salvagers were lands, I probably would keep it, but they are not, and I don't have any. There's nothing we can play in this hand with the lands we currently have, so we actually have to throw it back. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Well, let's see what happens then. In my haste. That helps. Alright, so that's a third land. It's not a red one yet, but we can at least cast the Aven Wind Mage next. And we have an early blocker here. There's a Pioneer. I get a Thopter. Alright, so we'll play out this, and then this. I'm just going to block this Gearsmith with my Wallabyst if they want to use something for it. I imagine they probably have... Okay, so there's a Field Creeper and a Fountain of Renewal. Alright, so we'll pass the turn again. They're going to be able to gain lots of life. Right now their creatures aren't too scary. There's a Sky Scanner. Block a Gearsmith Prodigy and take 2. Alright, so now we're probably losing, although they haven't dropped, they're still on 3 lands too, but they have both of their colors, so, or at least the 2 colors that they've shown us. A Dwindle. Well, I may as well block now. And we'll pass the turn again. This game, we're not long for this game. Salvager. I'm just going to go ahead and Essence Scatter that. It's the only thing we can do at the moment. Yep, Field Creeper. So we'll drop a Field Creeper of our own. Yep, there it is, that's game. And way too late. So we're at 4. No matter which one we block, it's dead. So yeah, good game. Well, that one was my fault. Should have mulliganed, wanted to mulligan, clicked the wrong button in my haste, and we paid the price for it. Alright, so this hand is also pretty bad. No spells, no early plays until turn 3 with Enigma Drake, and then it's just an 0-4. So I think we're going to mulligan this one, and this time I'm going to make sure I click the right button. Better. Not great, but I don't think a 5-card hand would be better than this, so we'll keep this one and make sure I'm on the right button again. And Enigma Drake, that's decent too, and I'll keep that on top. We'll start off with an island. And then a mountain, and pass the turn. Okay, Sovereign Bite. I think I'm going to Divination here to try to cancel out our mulligan. We have to discard 2. Let's discard this and this. I don't want to Enigma Drake yet, so we'll pass the turn. We can Enigma Drake next turn and still hold up Essence Scatter, depending on what they play here. Manolith, yep. So now we can Enigma Drake and leave up Essence Scatter. Alright, Bog Stomper is a perfect target for Essence Scatter. And now we'll go to combat and attack for 4. We'll play out this Snapping Drake. Infectious Horror, yes. Alright, so we are in the air. Let's go to combat and attack with everything. They may have an Essence Scatter of their own. Let's see. So we'll get to Scry. I don't want lands. Disperse on the Enigma Drake is fine. Mind Rot, yep. And a Neonate, sure. We're both empty-handed now. And we'll pass the back. So we'll lose 2 life and then take 4, and then they give up. Alright, so we are on the play. We can't cast the 2 creatures in our hand, and the only thing that we can do is Banefire for 2, because even if we hit double cast, we can't even Banefire. So this is not a pretty good hand for us to keep, so let's mulligan. Alright, so 2 lands gets us into Field Creeper. Any land we draw after that gets us to Divination and Enigma Drake, and then we just start cycling through stuff again. So I don't think a 5-card, it's kind of not the best hand, but I don't think a 5-card hand will be better than this. So let's keep that. And a land on top is great. So let's island there. Play a Mountain and Field Creeper. Alright, so there's double cast. Let's attack with the Field Creeper here. And I think I'm going to wait on Divination to play this Enigma Drake. See if they have maybe an Essence Scatter. They're going to anticipate. Okay. Anticipate would have been a great pickup for us. I didn't see any, though. Alright, Cavalry Drill Master. Sure. Alright, so let's Divination to draw 2. There is a land. We'll attack with the Enigma Drake here. Play on our land and pass. Sift. Yep. Draw 3, discard 1. Alright, so same thing here. We'll attack with the Enigma Drake. But this time we're going to play the Snapping Drake. And pass back. Luminous Bonds on the Snapping Drake, sure. Alright, so I think I'm going to... I have to attack first, because if I take the divination out, then the Enigma Drake loses its power. And then we'll play Salvager of Secrets to get back divination, unless they have an Essence Scatter. Oh, Revitalize, okay. And then next turn we can actually double cast and divination. Frilled Sea Serpent is pretty good. Yeah, I'll block with a Field Creeper. Alright, so Gutter Snipe. If we play Gutter Snipe this turn, then we can't do anything else other than we can Divination once. I think for 5 mana, the better play is to draw 4 cards this turn. Alright, so that's pretty good. We'll play out our 6th land, and we'll attack for 2. Luminous Bombs on the Enigma Drake, sure. Yep, we'll have to take 4. Aven Windmage. So I think we can play one of these Horizon Scholars, which blanks the Aven Windmage somewhat. We can play out a Gutter Snipe. And then hold back Essence Scatter. I think it's probably better to play out this Horizon Scholar. And so we definitely want the land, so we can Banefire the Frilled Sea Serpent away. And I'll get rid of the Tormenting Voice. And a 3rd Luminous Bonds. No blockers. We're gonna gain 3. Alright, so we have to Banefire this. No attacks. A War Leader. They just had everything. Alright, so there's a land. So we play the Enigma Drake. And a Gutter Snipe. And we have Essence Scatter up. And we no attacks. 4 luminous bombs. And we'll just concede. I mean, that was pretty ridiculous. Alright, so we don't have much going on in the way of spells, which is what this hand wants, because we have Gutter Snipe and Enigma Drake. We're 1 away from the Minotaur and 3 away from the Scholar, so it doesn't really do much other than just block and be vulnerable to removal, so let's mulligan. Alright, a better hand, but not by much, so I think we have to keep. I'm going to keep that mountain on top as well. So can shock anything for 3. We'll play on a mountain, and we haven't been very lucky with our draws so far. We'll take 1. Alright, well, they're emptying their hand, and they haven't really done a whole lot, so... we'll just have to cast Divination here, since we can't draw anything but lands, and we still drew another land. They're going to anticipate. I assume they're digging for a land. Yep. And a 3rd color. Alright, let's pass the turn. We'll take 2 more. We just keep drawing lands, so nice game we get to play here. Well, I guess we have to try to find some blockers. Well, don't want lands, creatures we want. So they do have an inevitability here with his Neonate. Okay, draw 3, discard 1. There is a Snapping Drake. I think we just keep plopping down big dudes. I'll attack for 4. Another Omen Speaker. Alrighty. So we can actually play both Snapping Drakes this turn. We could double cast and disperse the token and the neonate, but the neonate just comes back. Let's just Snapping Drake. Yep. Alright, a Salvager of Secrets. What is in our... Just a divination, huh? That could be pretty decent, though. I'm going to attack with the 2 flyers. So let's disperse this. We can get back the divination or the disperse. I think it has to be the disperse because they have chromium. And we'll end the turn. Let's make him unblockable here. Go to combat. Alright, so we got that one. Alright, so we're on the play. This hand is much better. We can go turn 2, turn 3, and even though we don't have any spells to feed our Drakes and our Wind Mage yet, it's still a better start and more aggressive start than we've seen so far. So let's keep this one. Start off with an island and pass the turn. Alright, so Mountain into Field Creeper. Wall of Mist. Colonist is a pretty good link to Field Creeper. We'll play Aven Wind Mage. And no attacks. Catalyst Elemental. Alright, so Act of Treason, not really something we want at this particular juncture. We'll just cast an Enigma Drake and swing over for 2 with our Wind Mage. You could sack the Catalyst Elemental and kill it with some sort of burn, but that would be 2 for 1-ing, and I'd be perfectly fine with that. So now they have 6 mana available to them. Or something for double red. Volcanic Dragon, sure. No blocks. Good. Act of Treason here. That'll pump the Wind Mage and the Enigma Drake. A second Wallenist. Alright, so Divination. I believe that's what we have to cast here. Must have a Disperse. Lightning Strike on the Wind Mage. Okay. I do want to attack with the Enigma Drake. Tormenting Voice. And they got rid of a skilled animator. Omen Speaker. Alright, so they topped both of them. Alright, let's go to combat. Let's see. Just going to attack with the Enigma Drake and hold back Electrify. I think I'm just going to go ahead and kill this guy now. Should have done that before attacking, because then have him at 5, but that's okay. I didn't make up my mind to kill him on their turn. Yep, no blocks. It doesn't speed up the clock, it's still just a 2-turn clock. Yep. But they don't have enough to pay for it. Let's attack with... let's see, Enigma Drake. So now they're probably thinking, if I don't block, what's the odds he has a lightning strike? Alright, so now we can play Horizon Scholar. We'll get to Scry. I don't want more lands. Do I want Tormenting Voice? I don't want Tormenting Voice either. So a Demanding Dragon. I will sacrifice this Field Creeper. There is a land. Let's cast Salvager of Secrets. Get back Act of Treason. And no attacks. We'll block with our Enigma Drake. Well, let's go for it. And that's the victory. Alright, so this hand actually is pretty decent to keep. We're on the draw, so we'll be able to counter whatever their turn 3 play is, and then we go into Divination, or actually Enigma Drake into Divination. So I think we're definitely going to keep this one. Hopefully, we don't get overrun in the process. So an Omen Speaker is fine. Alright, so then we'll play out a mountain and probably counter whatever their turn 3 play is, if it's a creature. Crash through. Gonna draw a card. Sure. We'll take one. Supreme Phantom. How many spirits are in this? Is that just a 1/3 flyer? I'll let that resolve. Alright, so now we have to pass the turn. Alright, now that's an essence scatter target. Alright, so now we get to play our own Enigma Drake. They're both 1/3s, we'll block the flyer. So nothing yet. We have 4 mana. I think we need to start hitting land drops. There are some lands. We'll play out a land and we'll pass the turn. Gonna disperse our Enigma Drake, sure. I'm perfectly fine with that. A Volcanic Dragon. So now we're at 10. Let's play out Horizon Scholar. I don't want more lands. I do want that Electrify, though. I'm going to block this Phantom here. We'll take 5. You're going to Sure Strike it, sure. Alright, so now let's play Enigma Drake. And pass the turn. We're going to go to blocks first. 1 blocker. Then we'll electrify this dragon. They have their own Horizon Scholar. Alrighty. What do we have here? So I have 8 mana. I could Salvager into... Salvager into Electrify. So if I act a treason, I can do 8 this turn. That still leaves me enough. I actually have to do it this way. Just play out all my flyers here. And no attacks. And he had a love axe. Okay, nothing we could do about that. We were going to lose either way. Alright, so we finished 4 and 3. Not bad, considering one of those losses was my fault for misclicking. Still not sure what would have happened in that game. They came out pretty aggressive. Not sure what a 6-card hand would have looked like, but it definitely would have given us a better chance probably than the hand we accidentally kept. But either way, this was a fun deck to play. Not really my particular style of play, but it was the deck that was given to us in the draft. So we'll just saddle up, sleeve up, and see everyone next time. If you like what you saw, just hit that like and subscribe button, and thanks for joining us.